There's a specific feeling every 90s and 2000s kid knows. You're watching cartoons, everything is fine, and then something happens on screen that makes your stomach drop. You looked around the room. You wanted someone to tell you it was okay. Nobody did. These 10 episodes gave thousands of kids that exact feeling. We're counting down 10 cartoon episodes that genuinely broke kids. Not spooky, not edgy, broken. Sleepless nights, refusing to watch TV, making parents check under the bed. That kind of damage. Some aired once and disappeared. One was banned outright. And the worst one, it's sitting at the end of this list waiting for you. Worst to most disturbing. Let's go. CatDog was already a weird show. 2 animals, 1 body. But the season 2 episode Teeth for Two took weird into something genuinely unsettling. Cat loses his teeth, and his solution, his completely serious plate straight solution, is steal Dog's teeth, while Dog sleeps. The close-up shots of the extraction, it was the visual of Cat emerging from inside Dog's mouth, slowly, deliberately, like something being born wrong. For a kid's cartoon, the animators made absolutely sure you felt every second of it. That level of graphic, that's a specific kind of disturbing. Stop, because this one requires full attention. Blue Cat Blues is a 1956 Tom and Jerry short. No chasing or slapstick, just Tom, heartbroken over a girl cat who left him for a richer cat. He sits on the train tracks, waiting. Jerry narrates the whole thing, watching his friend fall apart, unable to help. And in the final shot, Jerry gets his own heartbreak news. He sits down next to Tom. Both of them on the tracks, together. And the train is coming. That's how it ends. They just sit there. This aired on Saturday morning television for children. The animators, Gene Deitch's team, weren't making a joke. They were making a statement about grief and hopelessness that most adults weren't ready for. The cartoon that literally ends with a suicide pact ran for decades because people started asking why it existed. Hey Arnold was a grounded show. Real neighborhood, real problems. The most trust-earning cartoon of its era. Grandpa tells the kids the legend of a mad engineer who drives off the tracks every year as a ghost train, ferrying souls straight to the underworld. Arnold and Gerald actually board at midnight to test it. Lights flicker, rotten egg smell, inhuman accordion music, then total darkness, and something breathing down Helga's neck. The rational explanation comes. Everything gets resolved. Then the final shot, Brainy sits alone on a fence as the train passes, and the ghost of the engineer appears singing, the only witness to the real thing. The show gave you the out, then snatched it back in the last 5 seconds. That's the move kids never forget. Mr. Friend is a robot toy. Stu builds it for the babies. And the design, the fixed smile, the hollowed eyes, the way it moved, terrified Tommy and others completely. The episode never tells you Mr. Friend is actually scary. The adults think it's wonderful. The horror exists entirely in the gap between what adults see and what the babies experience. That gap is the episode. For young viewers, this was the first time a cartoon acknowledged something they actually felt. The things grown-ups say are fine sometimes genuinely aren't, and nobody will believe you. Mr. Friend looked like a nightmare. The show validated that, then smiled and kept moving. A little girl, sobbing alone in the woods. Jack just wants to return her teddy bear. That's how the episode starts. What's inside turns a normal family into contorting, vomiting creatures. Then the demon appears, and the show itself breaks. Clean animation replaced by scratchy black and white. Jagged lines. The music collapses into raw static that hits like a physical thing. The screen didn't just show something scary. It felt wrong. And the demon is never named, never explained. Because the moment you stop explaining something, The viewer's brain fills that gap with something worse than anything the animators could have drawn. The girls fly too fast. They overshoot time. They land in a future where they were never there to protect Townsville, and Townsville has been under him's control for 50 years. The residents are hollow, aged, broken, and they blame the girls directly, with exhausted, genuine hatred. Professor Utonium, their father, is a withered old man who doesn't recognize them. Him appears at the end not as a cartoon villain, but as something genuinely triumphant. He won. It's shown as a real consequence. The episode doesn't soften it. For children who love the Powerpuff Girls as symbols of safety, you protect people, you matter, love is real, this episode said, your absence has a cost. People suffer without you, and they may never forgive you for leaving. The song. You know the song. Happy Happy Joy Joy starts as a children's sing-along. Within 90 seconds, it collapses. Ren's face distorting, voice cracking, repetition turning frantic then threatening. But Ren isn't singing by choice. Stimpy built a happy helmet that forces happiness onto him. The song plays while Ren's face cycles through manic compulsory joy with something hollow behind his eyes. That's the concept that broke kids before they could name it. Happiness as something imposed on you by force, by someone who genuinely thinks they're helping. Technically just a funny cartoon. Nothing dangerous happens, and yet adults still quote it nervously 30 years later because it made happiness briefly feel like something that could be done to you. Bill Cipher was introduced as comic relief. Triangular, cheerful, weirdly charming. Weirdmageddon is what the whole show was building toward. Bill gets a physical form, takes over Gravity Falls, and within minutes starts turning people into stone statues. Randomly, while laughing. When one man tries to offer his loyalty, Bill reshuffles the functions of every hole in his face and leaves him convulsing on the ground screaming. Ford, the kids' great uncle, refuses to join Bill's side. Bill turns him into a golden statue, then uses him as a back scratcher. Seuss's grandmother gets transformed into a chair behind his back. She's completely calm about it. That somehow makes it worse. A villain that decorates with people, that finds your suffering funny, that turns the world into a party only he's enjoying. Kids who'd spent 2 seasons laughing with him suddenly understood they'd been laughing at something that was never on their side. Sandy's pet caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Beautiful story, standard cartoon arc. And then they held on the butterfly's face. Close up, real macro photography. A real insect's compound eyes and moving mouth parts filling the entire screen. With a sound effect, that specific droning buzz, that became genuinely iconic for all the wrong reasons. The joke was that SpongeBob and Patrick were scared of something harmless. The reality was that the show put a real insect face on screen at maximum size, with full audio, in a show where nothing had ever looked real before. Half a generation reported legitimate fear responses. Not to Wormy the character, to the image. The show used an actual biological stimulus. Humans are evolutionarily primed to react to large insect faces, in a context where no child was prepared for it. Courage the Cowardly Dog wins. Obviously, it had to, but not for the reason most people think. Return the Slab, King Ramses, the computer-animated ghost who appeared in an otherwise hand-drawn show. The off-model design, the one repeated phrase, the way he moved, or more accurately, the way he didn't move the way he should have, it won't be hard to realize something was wrong about how he existed. That wrongness is the point. Courage's entire world runs on things that exist in the wrong register. Real-looking things in cartoon space, cartoon logic applied to genuinely threatening situations. King Ramses was the purest version of it. But the You're Not Perfect episode is the one that actually breaks people. A disembodied head, speaking directly to Courage, and through him to every child watching, in a calm, precise voice listing everything wrong with him. You're not this, you're not that, you're not perfect. And then it's gone. The show just moves on. No resolution, not any "but you're perfect to us." No rescue, just the statement hanging there, in a show watched by children who were still figuring out whether they were enough. John R. Dilworth was making something specific, something that understood childhood not as a safe place but as a gauntlet. Confusing, threatening, full of things that look wrong and feel wrong and that adults either don't see or don't complain. Courage the Cowardly Dog traumatized a generation and told them the truth at the same time. That's why it's number 1. 10 episodes, some you remembered, some you buried. And at least one that a whole country's broadcasting authority decided children simply could not handle. Here's your comment trigger. Which one actually got to you? And how old were you? Drop it below. Scroll through the replies. You'll find out very quickly you weren't alone. If you want the next list, subscribe. I'll see you there.